Let me tell you of the days of high adventure.
Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of the Golden Age. This is our weekly series of Warhammer Fantasy Battle Reports for 8th edition, and this is a 3,000 point battle that's fought between Brother Grimm as well as myself. Brother Grimm is playing Waaaghpokeylipz now, a 3,000 point Orcs and Goblins army, and I am playing Gorepilgrims of the Bloodwind Spoil, my 3,000 point Chaos Legion of Khorne army. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Both of these armies are very close combat oriented. I'm also upping a little bit with my lists. I've kind of changed some things around as well to see if I can squeeze some more things into my list and try to, mitigate some of the weaknesses I had in earlier battle reports. So that being said, we're going to play some background music real quick. If you want to see exactly what we're taking for this battle, go ahead and pause, take a look at your own leisure. So with that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Crom, I've never prayed you before. I have no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good men or bad, why we fought or why we died. No. All that matters is that two stood against many. That's what's important. Balor pleases you, Crom. So grant me one request. Grant me revenge. If you do not listen, then the hell with you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
Alright, so the scenario rules for this one is Battle Line. It is the most typical type of Warhammer battle we play on this channel. It basically has got standard deployments with 12-inch deployment zones, 24 inches of dead space in between, as well as standard victory conditions as always. So with the scenario rules over, let's go and talk about the battle plan real quick. So here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battle. As you can see, we're playing on a 4x6 table. Brother Grimm is deployed on the near side of the table, while I'm deployed on the far side of the table. And as you can see, we're pretty much just kind of lined up against each other as best we can. My opponent decided to kind of gathered up on the left-hand side of his deployment area, protecting his left-hand flank. So because of that, the only way I can really come at him is either straight ahead or around to the right-hand flank. The thing I am worried about the most, though, are those units of 3 goblins apiece, because they have 3 fanatics in them. Same thing with that left-hand flank with his giant undead Fred and the loon, so I do have to worry about that. My plan is to send up my Chaos Warhounds, trip the fanatics. Hopefully I can pop those guys and get rid of them. And then I can charge in close combat with my Marauders, as well as my Flayers, the points, as well as my Chosen, and then try to engage in close combat that way. While that's happening, I'm going to try to assault on the right-hand flank with my cavalry forces with the Scion of the Destroyer, and of course use Svarthal the Juggernaut in order to help out by buffing up with some magic abilities. Also forgot to mention my Demon Prince the Ragged Knight. He's going to fly around the left-hand flank, try to take out Undead Fred the Loon, and then hopefully I can catch the Immortals in a full envelopment, so that way I can flank them, get rear attacks, or just any combination of pincer attack if I can get it. And that pretty much makes up my battle plan for this one. So with battle plans over with, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. So starting off with Waaaghpokeylipz now, over here on the left-hand side, up on the top of the hill there, we have Undead Fred and the Loon, which is a giant, and then right next on the right-hand side, that unit is called Those Sneaky Gits. It is a unit of 20 Night Goblins of full command. They are equipped with bows, and they also have 3 fanatics within that unit as well. And that makes up Brother Grimm's left-hand flank. In the center of his deployment area, up in the front, he's got the Ludas, which is a unit of 37 Night Goblins. They're armed with short bows, and they also have full command as well. In that unit as well, leading it, he's got the Shrieking Shroomhead, which is a Night Goblin Shaman. Level 2, he's got the Night Shroud, as well as Curse of the Bad Moon for his spells. He's also equipped with a Dispel Scroll, as well as a Terrifying Mask of E, so because of that, he does cause terror, which is all kinds of bad. At the same time, in that unit is also Hobgrob the Stinga. He is a Goblin Big Boss. He's also the Army's Battle Standard Bearer. He's got Grit Weapon, Light Armor, and Shield, and he's also got the Spider Banner. And then right behind them, of course, is the Immortals. It is a unit of 39. Once again, 39 Black Orcs. They got full command as well as the Razor Standard, so because they do have armor piercing on their attacks. They have heavy armor as well as armed to the teeth. Leading them is Grimgor Ironhide, the Incarnate of Beasts, the special character from the End Times rules. He, of course, is the General of the Army. He's got the Locust of Gur Bound spell. He's also got Gitsnick, the magical weapon, as well as Bloodforged armor. So a very hard nut to crack on that one. And that pretty much makes up his center deployment for this one. And make up his right-hand flank, he's got them Backstabbers, which is a unit of 20 Night Goblins with full command, short bows, and fanatics. And then, of course, right next to him is the War Boys. It is a huge unit of 39 Orc Biggins with choppas as well as shields. They also got light armor. They also got the Standard Discipline, giving them +1 to leadership. And leading that unit, of course, is Ruga the Stuntiflea. He is a level 4 Orc Shaman of the Lord of the Great Big Waaagh. He's got Fencer's Blade, giving him 10 up weapon skill. He's got a Talisman of Endurance, giving him 5 up ward save. He's also got the Crown of Command, making this unit stubborn as well. And the spells that he managed to roll up on this one were the Hand of Gork, Edbutt, Irigo, as well as Foot of Gork. And then finally there on the bottom right-hand side, those are the Kamikaze Boys, which are 2 Doomdiver Catapults. And that pretty much makes up Brother Grimm's deployment for this one. So moving across the table to my deployment area, we're going to talk about the deployment now for the Gorepilgrims of the Bloodwind Spoil, and as you can see, I've made some significant changes in my army. Starting off on the left-hand side, that is the Ragandite, my Demon Prince of Khorne. He's also my general. He's got Demonic Flight as well as Chaos Armor. He's packing the Dragon Helm, giving him 2 ward save against flaming attacks and +1 to his armor save. He's also got the other Trickster's Shard because ward saves are a bane for me, so if I can make you reroll successful ward saves, all the better. He's also packing the Demon Blade, giving him D6 +3 attacks, which I'm really excited to see exactly how that works out for him. He's got Flaming Breath because it's awesome. He's also got Scaled Skin, so that way he has a 1-up armor save with a 5-up ward save, 2-up ward save against flaming attacks. Now, right next to him on the right-hand side, that is the Flayers of the 8 points. It is a unit of 24 Bloodletters of Khorne with full command. They also have the Banner of Swiftness, and then right in front of them are the Flesh Terrors. Now those do look like hounds. They do look like Flesh Hounds of Khorne. Ignore that. Just imagine that they're just 5 normal Chaos Warhounds. So moving on to the center of my army, starting on the right hand side, we have Svarthal the Juggernaut, which is my Chaos Sorcerer. He's being represented by that Bloodletter riding a Blood Crusher right now. He's a level 2 Allure of Metal. He's got Searing Doom, Glittering Robes, and Final Transmutation. And the reason why he's got 3 spells is because he has a Chaos Familiar. He's also packing the Sword of Might, giving him +1 Strength, and Enchanted Shield to give him +1 to his armor save, additional +1 to his armor save, giving him armor save 1. He's also got the Dawn Stone, so that way he can reroll failed armor saves. And to top it all off, he is also riding a Chaos War Shrine, which also is really awesome as well because it gives him a 4 ward save as well as giving the ability to cast Giver of Glory, which is really going to help out my units on this one. Right next to him on the right hand side, that is the Black Legion. It is a unit of 24 Chaos Chosen of Khorne. They're equipped with halberds. They also have the Banner of Rage, so that way they never lose their they don't lose their frenzy at all. Also, for those guys, when we also rolled to see exactly how they were chosen by the Chaos God, they earn +1 to their toughness, so that part was pretty nice. When you combine that with the ability from the Chaos War Shrine, you get to roll 46 and pick what 2 results you want, which is really, really awesome. And so I went with the +1 toughness. Right in front of them is the Fangs of Nirs, unit of 5 Chaos Warhounds, and then right there, smack dab in the middle, that is the Marked Men. It is a unit of 30 Chaos Marauders, armed with flails and Marks of Khorne, and that's all they have. And that pretty much makes my center deployment. And on the far right hand side, I have the Scions of the Destroyer. It is a unit of 7 Chaos Knights of Khorne with full command. They have ensorcel weapons mounted on Chaos Steeds, Bardic Chaos Steeds. They also got shields and everything else in full command. And they also got the Standard Discipline because they're so far removed from the rest of the army as well, giving them +1 to leadership. And leading that unit is Arbal the Destroyer. He's an exalted hero of Khorne. He's also my army's battle standard bearer, and he's also equipped with the Helm of Many Eyes, so that way he has always strikes first and +1 to his armor save. Unfortunately, though, he's affected by stupidity, but because he's also in this unit, he gets +1 to his leadership, so he's leadership 9. So hopefully that will help to mitigate those circumstances. He's equipped with a great weapon, so that way he gets a 2-up on his strength on that one. He's also got a shield, so he's got a 1-up armor save, which is awesome. I've also equipped him with a Chalice of Chaos, so that way I could roll for any numerous kind of effect, because I think it'd be kind of nice to have that extra buff. And then finally, of course, he's mounted on a demonic mount with Bardic, and that makes up my deployment here on the right hand side. And finally, off to the side, all by his lonesome, is Karanak, my special character. And he's off to the side right now because he's coming in with his ambusher rules. So with deployment over, let's go and talk about directly what happens at turn number 1. So both Gorepilgrim and I roll off for initiative to see who will go first. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 1, and the Chaos Legion of Khorne gets to go first. So I won the initiative on this one, which was all kinds of awesome. And as you can see in this photo, pretty much I just moved up as quickly as I could, heading directly towards the Orcs and Goblins. I'm playing a Chaos Legion of Khorne. Pretty much everything except for the Warhounds as well as the Bloodletters, they all have Frenzy for the most part, so the sooner I get in close combat, the more hurting I can put on my opponents. First thing I do is, of course, is I march up with both of my Chaos Warhounds and move up 14 inches, heading directly towards the Goblins. My plan is hopefully I can trip the Fanatics real quick and expose those guys, so that way I can just get those out in the open. Hopefully I can destroy those guys and kind of mitigate the damage those Fanatics can do. At the same time, I also march up on the far right-hand flank. As you can see, they're the signs of the Destroyer. They move to the far right-hand side so that way they can start putting some pressure on the right-hand flank. And as you can see in that forest in the left-hand side with the Ragged Knight, he's doing exactly the same thing. I put him inside the forest, that way he doesn't get shot with Doomdiver catapults, because those things are terrifying. And of course, the rest of my armies move up. My Flares of the 8 points march up to the left-hand side behind that forest. The Marksmen march up right between the Chaos Warhounds, followed by the right-hand side with the Black Legion. And in the back, you see that Svarthal the Juggernaut is also catching up as well. Now, he's riding a chariot, so he will not be able to march. You can only move up his normal 6 inches, and that's all you can do for that part. And that pretty much makes the move phase for this one. So here's a close-up of the move phase. Here's a close-up, as you can see, of the Ragged Knight taking some cover behind some trees, because I am afraid of Doomdiver catapults. And anybody who doesn't fear Doomdiver catapults are not fully aware of what those things can do, because they are terrifyingly accurate and it'll just destroy you without a second thought. And here's a close-up of my main battle lines, moving as quickly as they can across the battlefield in order to engage with the Orcs and Goblins across from them. And finally, here's a close-up of the Scions of the Destroyers, moving their way as quickly as they can along the right-hand flank and to start assaulting the Orcs and Goblins of Waaaghpokeylipz now. So with the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. And during the Reign of Chaos, I managed to get Storm of Fire when I rolled for my power dice. I rolled 5 on that part, so you can see here I managed to kill 4 members of the Orcs of the War Boys, as I was able to do. The small template just managed to clip the back right-hand corner, so I managed to ice 4 of those guys, which is really nice. It's kind of nice for once to actually have something actually work for you. And so because of that, we move on for the rest of the magic phase. And as you can see, the magic phase was amazing. I decided to pop Final Transmutation. I used the boosted version in order to get that spell off on the War Boys, because I really want to whittle this unit down as well. The idea was not only could I, make this unit weak, but at the same time I could also put Stupidity on any unit within 12 inches of them. And if I can do that, hopefully I can stop his Doomdiver catapults from shooting. You think I'm overreacting with those Doomdiver catapults, but those things are absolutely terrifying. They're strength 5, no armor saved hits, and they destroy heavy armored units like it's nobody's business. I am terrified of those things. Plus, they can also travel back these 6 inches, so that way they can, if they miss, they can scatter, they can still fly back and still hit their targets, or hit a completely different target. Those things are absolutely terrifying. But anyways, as you can see in this picture, though, I did manage to kill off, 9 of those guys managed to do that. So I managed to kill 9 of them, which is all kinds of awesome. Brought it down to a quarter strength as well. Unfortunately, I was not able to kill Ruga the Stunty Flayer. He managed to survive, but I managed to chop up this unit pretty good. Unfortunately for me, though, they do pass their panic checks. They don't flee, but, I'll take what I can get at this point. The only problem, of course, is that when I did roll this spell, I did use Irresistible Force on that part, and I miscast 9.
Klaatu, Marata.
And it was actually a pretty lucky result, because I did suffer 1 wound because of it. I wasn't able to stop with my ward save, so that part was kind of sad. However, he's got wounds for days because he is riding a Reign of Chaos, so them's the breaks, I guess. So with that pretty much ends my turn, so we go directly to the bottom of turn number 1 for the Orcs and Goblins. And as you can see, this photo is taken after the move phase, so here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, some dynamic movement has pretty much taken place. First of all, my opponent, Brother Grimm, decides to declare a charge with Undead Fred and the Loon. He declares a charge directly against the Ragged Knight. It was kind of a long bomb charge for him, but unfortunately, though, he just flubbed his rolls really bad. Undead Fred and the Loon only move up 4 inches when it's all said and done, so that part is all kinds of sad, so he's off the hill on that part. After he does that, of course, my opponent also decides to march up a couple of his forces. Starting on the left-hand side, those sneaky gets start moving up to the left-hand side, heading right directly in that space between the 2 forests, so it's kind of freeing up his left hand, the center of his unit. By doing that, it allowed him to do a couple things. First of all, he was able to wheel, just normal wheel move, his Ludus up to about 4 inches forward, which of course popped the Fanatics. As you can see that the Fanatics kind of just flew through. One Fanatic went right through my Chaos Warhounds and killed them all, and the other two just ended up an inch away, so now those Fanatics have been deployed. And by wheeling a little bit to the left-hand side, he then decided to march up his War Boys. And the War Boys, of course, did a wheel march. They wheeled up 8 inches. We're squaring off directly against my Scions of the Destroyer head on. What that did is that freed up some space for his backstabbers. The backstabbers, they moved up. They're no more moving allowance as well, but they kind of wheeled a little bit to the right. But that put them within 8 inches to pop their Fanatics as well. 2 of them land about 1 inch away from the Fangs of Nyr, while one of them ends up about 3 inches away from the Fangs of Nyr. So that part was pretty crazy. But by wheeling out in either direction like that, what he does is that he actually makes enough space in his lines to actually march up the Immortals, as you can see right there. So because that he finally has some gape in the line, so he's able to, exploit that and move forward as well. So it was actually quite a genius move on Brother Grimm's part there, because by doing this, he secures his flanks on the left-hand side with his Giant, as well as his Fanatics that can be popped out from those backstabbers. Those sneaky gets, I'm sorry. At the same time, he defends his right-hand flank with a wave of War Boys against my Scions of the Destroyer, but he also has the backstabbers as well as the Ludus who can still open fire with their bows. They only moved up a couple of inches forward before their Fanatics got popped, so they can still shoot with their short bows. And of course, the Ludus have, of course, a poison pattern that gives them poison attacks that makes it even deadlier. And then it opens up his center so that way his Immortals can move straight through, and he's got like this nice fish hook formation where his flanks are defended and his center is still kind of strong. It was an absolute piece of genius just watching Brother Grimm do it. It was actually really cool to watch him do that from the other side of the battlefield. I was totally surprised that he was able to do that, and I was like, oh my god, that was fantastic. And I bring that up because that movement phase pretty much did a lot to help him out for the rest of the game, which is pretty awesome to see how it kind of worked out. So now that I'm done ranting about how genius my friend Brother Grimm is with his move phase, here's some close-up shots of the move phase. Here's a close-up shot of Undead Fred and the Loon, who failed their charge test to go directly to the Ragged Knight. So that part was kind of sad. However, he does have 3 Fanatics that he can pop out there on the left-hand side with his with those sneaky gets, so I do have to worry about that. And here's a close-up of his center lines with his Fanatics from the Ludas as well as from the Backstabbers being deployed. As you can see, those Fanatics destroyed the Flesh Terrors, which is all kinds of sad there on the left-hand side. At the same time, it opens up his lines so that way his Immortals can slip through, and plus them Backstabbers as well as the Ludas can still shoot during the shooting phase. So all things are looking pretty good over here in the center. And here's a close-up of the right-hand side with the War Boys moving over to the right-hand side, as well as the Backstabbers. And like I said before, my buddy got really lucky because none of his people failed their animosity tests, and not to mention his guys also passed their stupidity tests on the right-hand side, for the most part. Over here, though, for his War Machines, one Doomdiver Catapult does fail his stupidity test, so will not be able to do anything this turn. So Brother Grimm just kind of turned to 180, so that way you can signify the fact he won't be able to shoot this turn. But he still has one that's working, and that's still kind of bad because Doomdiver Catapults are terrifying. Alright, so with that we go directly to the magic phase. As you can see in this photo, what ended up happening is that I was able to dispel most of my opponent's spells. My opponent tried to get offhanded Gork, of course, because he wanted to transport a couple of his Black Orcs to get him across the battlefield. Same thing with his War Boys. He tried to also get off Foot of Gork with his War Boys to destroy my Scions of the Destroyer. I was able to dispel those, however, he managed to slip through Headbutt, managed to put 3 wounds directly onto Svarthal the Juggernaut, so that part really sucked, I don't mind telling you. And in the shooting phase was quite destructive, and the reason why is because my marked men are 30 Chaos Marauders armed with flails, and that's all they have. They don't have light armor, they don't have shields at all. So my opponent decided to open up and concentrate fire with the Ludas, firing, 30 shots, I think is what it was, of short bow fires, armor-tipped short bow fire. And he also decides to fire with the Backstabbers directly into my Chaos Marauders. And short bows against toughness 3 infantry is not a problem, apparently. So as you can see here, he managed to kill 8 of my guys, almost dropped me down by a quarter, which is all kinds of horrible. The only silver lining of this, of course, is that my marked men currently have frenzies, so they're immune to psychology. Otherwise, these guys would be running for the hills. So that part was absolutely crazy. At the same time, he does fire with his Doomdiver Catapult directly into the Scions of Destroyer, and managed to kill one of my Chaos Knights. So I got really lucky on that part as well, because if both of those things managed to hit these guys, it could have atomized my units. And I'm telling you, my fear of Doomdiver Catapults is not misplaced. Those things are absolutely terrifying. So because of the shooting phase over, there is no close combat phase, so we skip it. We go directly to the top of turn number 2. Alright, so that takes directly to the top of turn number 2 for the Chaos Legion of Khorne, and as you can see, a lot of movement has taken place. I am Legion of Khorne, and I just have to charge in order to engage my opponent. So the first thing I do, of course, is I declare a charge with my Flayers of the 8 points. My Flayers of the 8 points, of course, move forward and go directly into those into those sneaky gits. Now, I will warn you now, if you notice, there's none of my Bloodletters are missing, and the reason why is because we forgot to do the Fanatics on that one. It was my fault, as well as my buddy Brother Grimm. My buddy Brother Grimm forgot they had Fanatics for them, and then after we started doing the close combat, I realized, hey, don't you have Fanatics in that unit? He said, yeah. So when you get to the combat phase, you'll see how that ended up affecting my Flayers of the 8 points. So if you're wondering why are there no Fanatics on the left hand side, that's why we forgot to do that real quick. But we take care of it in the combat phase. So I do that first. Now I engage those sneaky gits. After that, I did declare a charge with the Ragged Knight. The Ragged Knight goes flying across the battlefield directly into Undead Fred and the Loon. So now I've engaged that giant in close combat as well. I then declare a charge with my Chaos Warhounds from the Fangs of Nier directly into the 3 Fanatics that used to be on the right hand side. I caught 2 of them, destroyed my unit of Chaos Warhounds. So you can see there, one is just there. But by doing that, what I did is I opened up 2 avenues of approach, one to the center of the main battle line and one to the right-hand flank of the battle line as well. So then I decided to send in the Markmen. The Markmen charge across the battlefield directly into the Immortals. And I'm pretty interested to see exactly how that works. I mean, you know, I am Marauders, and I do have +2 strength with flails, but you know, and frenzies, so I'm really excited to see exactly how that works out. And the second avenue approaches along the left hand flank there of the War Boys. So I charge in the Black Legion. They go directly into the left hand flank, smashing directly into the War Boys. I also declare a charge with the Scions of the Destroyer, go smashing directly into the front of the War Boys, catching those guys in a pincer attack on the right hand flank. And then lastly, of course, I move up Svarthol the Juggernaut in order to catch up, so that way he can lend some magical support. I do, of course, roll to see if Karanak shows up on the battlefield, but he does not. So because of that, he doesn't show up on the battlefield at this point. So here's a close-up of the move phase. On the left-hand side is the Ragged Knight going directly into Undead Fred and the Loon, and I'm actually looking really forward to that combat because I've kitted out my Ragged Knight to kill, and I'm really super excited to see how he stacks up against some monsters. So I'm really excited to see how that combat will go. If you want to know what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, you're about to figure out what happens here on the left-hand flank. And also here's a close-up of the Flayers of the 8 point charging into those sneaky gits. And like I said before, we forgot to do the Fanatics, but don't worry, when we get to the combat phase, I'm going to talk about exactly how that affected that unit. And here's a close-up of the Markmen going straight into the belly of the beast, heading directly into the Immortals. And I'm starting to think I might have actually bitten off more than I could chew with my Marauders going up against that unit. But at the same time, I do have a lot of attacks going my way, so I am kind of excited to see how that will work out. And finally, here's a close-up of the Black Legion as well as the Scions of the Destroyer getting the War Boys in a pincer attack, which I'm really super excited to seeing how that one works out as well. So kudos all around. So with the move phase over with, we go directly to the magic phase. And I actually had a pretty successful magic phase on this one. I actually got quite a bit off on my magic dice. When it came to the Reign of Chaos chart, nothing really happened from that, so we kind of skipped that one. But one of the cool things I was able to do, of course, was be able to get off Giver of Glory, so that part was really cool as well. With that spell, of course, I gave +1 the attacks to the champion of the leader of the Black Legion, so that part was kind of cool. At the same time, I also gave +1 toughness to the champion of the Scions of the Destroyer, which is really nice as well. And at the same time, I forgot to mention this Arbol the Destroyer, he also drank from the Chalice of Chaos, and he has 4-up regen for this turn. So he's got a 4-up regen, and he's also got his 1-up armor save. So I'm really looking forward to see exactly how it goes with the combat phase with this guy. And over here in the center, I managed to get +1 toughness to the champion of the chieftain of the Markmen. So that part was kind of nice. That was for my Giver of Glory spell. I was able to get 3 of those guys to get those bonuses. And then I was able to also cast Glittering Robes as well. So giving Scaly Skin now to the unit of Chaos Marauders, giving them a 5-up save against that. I did, of course, try to cast Searing Doom earlier to draw some Dispel dice for my opponent. And of course, he actually bought it. And so because of that, I wasn't able to cast that spell. So, but you know, I got the other ones off, and that was the only thing I really cared about. So with that, we go directly to the combat phase. As you can see in this photo, this is where I was talking about we were resolving the combat between the Flayers of the 8 points as well as the Night Goblins. So I decided to just pretend that all 3 Fanatics went through the Flayers of the 8 points. It just seemed like the nicest way of actually resolving that. So I went through all 3 Fanatics. They managed to kill, I think, 7. No, not 7. Yeah, no, sorry, not 7. They managed to kill 5 of my bloodletters. That's what it was. They killed 5 of my bloodletters. I was actually doing pretty good with my ward saves. I actually saved 4 of my guys from being killed with my ward saves, so that part was pretty nice as well. And then, of course, that's how we decided to start combat, and then we started combat afterwards. Needless to say, my flares of the 8 points just destroyed these goblins. As you can see, I managed to kill 11 of these guys in close combat. It was absolutely brutal. At the same time, the Ragged Knight, oh my god, the Ragged Knight, he just unloaded with that Demon Blade. Managed to get 8 attacks total directly against Undead Fred the Loon. Now, I did roll 1-1, so I did actually hit myself, but luckily I managed to ward save it, so no harm, no foul. Needless to say, I just kill Undead Fred the Loon straight up. All 7 wounds just go in there and wound him. He was unable to save any of them, and just like that, Undead Fred the Loon just died. Luckily for me, he fell over to the left-hand side and completely missed my general, so that part was really cool. Needless to say, my flares, the 8 points, absolutely destroyed those sneaky gits. They gotta take a break test. They fail that test and they flee. And I overrun. Not only do I manage to catch those sneaky gits, I managed to kill them to the last man, and I also impacted directly into the left-hand flank of the Ludas. So because of that, the Ludas now are engaged in close combat on the left-hand flank with my flares at the 8 points. So I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly how that actually works out later on in combat. Meanwhile, combat between the Immortals as well as the Marksmen did not go according to plan. I did manage to kill 4 of the Immortals, which is kind of cool, but that was all I was able to do. The Immortals, on the other hand, woo! They just wiped out the Marksmen to the last man. They decided to go with additional hand weapons with the Chop as special rule, so that way they get 2 attacks for each of the guys. Grimgor Ironhide, of course, had to accept the challenge. I had a challenge with my Chieftain because I had the guards chart. So my Chieftain did issue a challenge with Grimgor Ironhide. He killed him, and then went over 3 wounds as well, and just absolutely destroyed my unit. I mean, every single one of my Marauders got killed to the last man because I'm fighting against a horde of Black Orcs, and they were laughing as they were slaughtering me, which is all kinds of bad. So needless to say, my Marauders just smashed against the shields of the Black Orcs, and they got killed to the last man. And of course, they look really triumphant, just standing there in their black and red armor, looking all kinds of boss. Meanwhile, over here in the right-hand flank, I got Demonhood. It was all kinds of cool. First of all, I declare a challenge with Arbal the Destroyer. And of course, my opponent decides to answer the call with Ruga the Stunty Flare. So Ruga the Stunty Flare goes up against Arbal the Destroyer. They decide to fight it out. And it was actually a pretty good call from my opponent, just because he managed to have the Fencer's Blades when it ended up happening. So because of that, I attacked him. I managed to actually do really, really well in my attacks. I managed to roll a bunch of 6s for my attacks. Because of that, I did manage to hit him. And unfortunately for my opponent, he actually lost 2 wounds from the attacks from Arbal Destroyer. But what was the thing that actually finished him off, though, was the Chaos Demonic Mount. The Demonic Mount managed to slip through the last wound directly onto Ruka the Stunty Flare, and it managed to kill him. So then, of course, I roll up for my Eye of the Goddess chart, and because I'm within range of the War Shrine, I rolled 2 6s and a 3, so I decided to take the 2 6s, and bam! Arbal the Destroyer dies, of course, because he gets transferred to demons, so my opponent gets 100 points for killing my Battle Standard Bearer, but now I have a Demon Prince on the table, and all things are all awesome. And as you see here, the rest of the combat was an absolute slaughter. It was just absolutely bad. It was a lot of back and forth. As you can see in this photo, though, the War Boys, though, they were also not doing too shabby either. Managed to kill 4 of my Chaos Knights, only leaving 3 of them, so that part was kind of crazy. At the same time, though, he didn't get any attacks off my Black Legion, so nothing much happened there. But the combined attacks of Arbal the Destroyer, as well as, no, sorry, not Arbal the Destroyer, the Signs of the Destroyer, as well as the Black Legion, pretty much chopped these guys down to just about 12 people. Managed to just almost just gut this unit and pretty much decimate it for the most part. So that part was awesome. So needless to say, my opponent had to take a break test. He had to get double 1s in order to stand. He does not stand, he flees, and of course I overrun. So as you can see in this photo, I overrun both with Arbal the Destroyer as well as the Chaos Knights. My Sides Destroyers, of course, destroy all the rest of the War Boys, and they go crashing directly into the right-hand flank of them backstabbers. So like I said, my buddy moving his forces like that, pure genius, because his flanks are still being defended right now by goblins for his Black Orcs. So that part was really, really cool. Like I said, genius move on his part. So I do have to go through these goblins. However, these guys still have frenzy, so I'm not looking, I don't think anything bad's going to happen from that. At the same time, since Arbal the Destroyer was also part of the combat that destroyed those guys, he overruns forward. He overruns, I think, like 7 or 8 inches. Manages to run directly into the Fanatic. The Fanatic does hit him, of course. Luckily for me, though, I was able to ward save those, so no harm, no foul. And, of course, do a quick combat reform with the Black Legion to square off directly against the Immortals. And that pretty much makes the combat phase on that one. So with that, we go directly to the bottom turn number 2 for Orcs and Goblins. As you can see, this photo is taken after the movement phase. And as you can see in this photo, Brother Grimm decided to take the offense. He doesn't care that he's basically being surrounded by Chaos Legion of Khorne. He's going to take the fight to me. And with a YOLO in the air, he charges forward with the Immortals, crashing directly into Arbal the Destroyer, the newly minted Demon Prince that I have. So that part was kind of crazy. At the same time, to make matters worse, he actually catches my Demon Prince on the flank. So that part was really bad as well. But like I said before, because he maneuvered his forces in this way, he does still manage to protect his left-hand flank with the Ludus, who are currently protecting his left-hand flank from the flares of the 8 points. And at the same time, he has them backstab as protecting his right-hand flank against my Chaos Warriors. The only things I can really hurt him with right now are my Black Legion. My Black Legion can still charge him forward, which I'm hoping they'll be able to do. All I just got to hope is that my Demon Prince lasts a turn. That's what I'm hoping for. At the same time, his left flank is still wide open for my Demon Prince, the Ragged Knight. So hopefully my Ragged Knight can then fly over, get him into the left-hand flank, get the front with the Black Legion. Hopefully I can kill those goblins really quickly on either flank, and then I can get the left-hand flank, get the rear charge with my flares, the 8 points, and still get the right-hand flank with my Chaos Knights. And if I can do that, I can get a full envelopment, and I can destroy them that way. That was pretty much the goals I'm hoping for. The only thing that's keeping this plan alive is my Demon Prince, Arbal the Destroyer. If he can survive a round of combat and still hold his ground, I will be able to get that off, and that'll be all kinds of awesome. So here's a close-up of the flares, the 8 points, directly into the left-hand flank of the Goblins. So I'm looking forward to exactly to see how that's going to work out. And at the same time, you can see there my Ragged Knights there as well. These will be charging directly into the left-hand flank of the Immortals here pretty soon as well. I'm super excited to see exactly how that works out because I can finally get the Immortals in a full envelopment. And with that, here's a close-up of the right-hand flank with my Scions of the Destroyer charging up directly against them backstabbers. And I'm really looking forward to that combat. They're going to just chew those guys, no problem. You can see that the Black Legion's down the front with Svarthal the Juggernaut behind them. And here's a close-up of the Immortals charging directly into Arbal the Destroyer, the Demon Prince. And hopefully I can survive that round of combat, because if I can do that, then everything will be fine. So with the move phase over, if you go to the magic phase, and the magic phase. Oh dear God, the magic phase.
Klaatu, Verata,
So the only thing he has left is basically 6 power dice when he ends up happening, and the only thing he has left in his army that can cast any spells whatsoever are his Night Goblin, the Shrieking Shroomhead, and he decides to take all 6 dice and he rolls it directly into Curse the Bad Moon. Yes, he rolls an Iscast 8, so that attack does go against his Shaman, but he rolled a 1 to wound, so because his Shaman is completely fine, and to make things worse, he rolled for the boosted version of Curse of the Bad Moon. And that template goes directly to the left-hand side, directly into my flares, the 8 points. He decided to go with the toughness characteristic on that one. And as you can see there, he just atomized my flares of the 8 points. He killed all of them except for 3 demons. That's the only thing that's left. There's 3 Bloodletters of Khorne. And to make matters worse, the Curse of the Mad Moon keeps on going forward, directly into the Ragged Knight. And it goes directly to the Ragged Knight, and it kills my Demon Prince. Oh my god, I rolled a d6 for his toughness check. I have a 5 to 6 chance to survive this thing. 5-6 chance to surviving it. There's only one number I can roll that could kill my Demon Prince, and it's a 6. And what do I roll? I roll a 6.
Something always brings me back to you. It never takes too long. No matter what I say or do, I still feel you here till the moment I'm gone.
And words really don't describe the pain I felt as I watched my Ragged Knight get devoured by the Curse of the Blood Moon, because now my plans of attacking the Immortals from the flank as well as in the back has just evaporated in smoke. It was all kinds of bad. So with the magic phase over with, we go directly to the shooting phase, and as you can see in this photo, my opponent decides to open up with both of his Doomdiver catapults. The first one lands directly into the Black Legion, managed to kill, I think, 4 of those guys, so that part was pretty horrible. Even with their up with their +1 toughness, it's still a 4 up in order to wound these guys, and I get no armor saves because of it, so that part was bad. And then to make matters worse, he fires a second Doomdiver catapult directly into Svarthal the Juggernaut, managed to put 5 wounds on him, and I couldn't war save any one of them. I failed my war save so bad. You wouldn't believe the numbers of 1s, 2s, and 3s I rolled on that. So because of that, Svartalfheim the Juggernaut dies, and that pretty much ends the shooting phase, as well as my magic phase for the rest of the battle. So that part was insane. So with the shooting phase over with, we go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, I declare a challenge because that's the only thing I can do real quick in order to save this one. So I declare a challenge with my Demon Prince, Arbol the Destroyer, and of course Grimgor Ironhide decides to answer the call. The two then go at it in close combat. I do manage to put 2 wounds onto Grimgor Ironhide, and he manages to put 2 wounds directly onto Arbol the Destroyer, the newly created Demon Prince. So it pretty much ends at a stalemate. Both of us are still alive. I do a combat reform real quick so that way I can square off against him, and that pretty much makes it about it. No one else can really attack me because we're currently in a challenge, and I bought myself some precious time as well. Meanwhile, the combat between the Scions of the Destroyer as well as the Backstabbers, I managed to kill, I think it was 10 of those Night Goblins. They, of course, had to take a break test and they fled. They fled to the left, I pursued, I overran those Goblins and killed them all, and crashed directly into the right-hand flank of the Immortals. So at least my Demon Prince is no longer squaring off against these guys by himself. Not to mention, I don't have enough guys here to disrupt the unit, so that part is kind of sad. But at the same time, though, there's some additional attacks I can pour into this unit and hopefully whittle it down some. Meanwhile, over here on the left-hand flank against the Looters, the Looters end up having Netters in this unit, is when they end up having. And because of that, I failed my test, so because of that, I could do nothing against these Night Goblins when it was all said and done. Those Netters were the bane of my existence. On the other hand, though, those Night Goblins, though, with those poison attacks, oh my god, they killed the last 3 Bloodletters they actually had left. So because of that, they are completely fine, they're completely whole, and now they're ready to bring some pain directly for the rest of my army. And that pretty much makes the turn for Brother Grimm. So with that, we go directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Chaos Legion of Khorne, and as you can see in this photo, this is taken after the move phase, and I just commit at this point. I fully got to commit and did this. I decided to send in the Black Legion directly into the Immortals. My plan here is this. I got a lot of frenzied attacks coming from my halberd-wielding Black Legion. They also got +1 toughness, so by all rights, they should be able to do this. At the same time, I also got frenzy attacks coming in from my ensorcelled-equipped, weapon-equipped Chaos Knights on the right-hand side as well. Plus, I have my Demon Prince is currently in a challenge right now with Grimgor Ironhide. So things tell me that this should work out. Hopefully, my plan is that I can cause enough damage to this unit. I can cause it to break. If it does break, I can overrun and destroy them, and that's pretty much what I'm going for. All I have to do is make sure that I destroy enough ranks of these guys so that way I have more ranks than they do, so that way they're not steadfast. That's the only thing I'm pretty much relying on this one. I just got to be able to put a lot of damage on these guys. I have a lot of high strength attacks coming into these guys, so I should be able to do it because that's the only thing that's going to be able to save me this game at this point. So with that, we go directly to the combat phase, and good God, the combat phase was a slaughter. It was a massacre on both sides. First of all, I do manage to kill Grimgor Ironhide, so yay! Arbol the Destroyer gets to go first because he's got higher initiative, because he's a Demon Prince. I do manage to kill Grimgor Ironhide. That part was all kinds of awesome. So I consider moral victory because I killed my opponent's general. However, they did manage to kill Arbol the Destroyer, which is really bad as well. And then combat between their both units, he decides to go with great weapons, is what he decides to go with, in order to cause some injuries on this one. He actually kills off my Chaos Knights, which is all kinds of bad on there, so they're all dead. At the same time, he also managed to kill he managed to kill 4 of my Chaos Chosen, which is all kinds of bad as well. However, due to my credit though, I do manage to kill a lot of Black Orcs. I do manage to chop up a lot of them down to their basic elements. However, when it's all said and done though, he has 1 more rank than I do, because the only thing that's left fighting against them is my Black Legion, so he's steadfast, which means that he is stubborn. So he rolls against an unmodified leadership, so that part was absolutely insane. Needless to say, he does not go anywhere. He stays exactly where he locates at, and of course he does a combat reform real quick to face off against me, and he decides to put his Black Orcs into a column formation, so that way he definitely has a lot more ranks than I do, and now my marked men are stuck in a grind attack against these Black Orcs. And to make matters worse, their left-hand flank is now open to being charged at by those Night Goblins with their poison attacks. So with that, we go directly to the bottom of turn number 3 for the Orcs and Goblins, and what does Brother Grimm do? He charges in his Night Goblins, and his Night Goblins have no problems whatsoever. The Looters go directly into the left-hand flank of my Black Legion, and just like that, my Black Legion, as well as my, is basically an counter attack from the Looters in the left-hand flank, and the Immortals up in the front, and that is absolutely bad for me to be in. So we go to the magic phase. As you can see here, the Curse of the Bad Moon remains in play spell, so it actually moves over and scatters 18 inches over to the middle of the table into the middle of my deployment area. So you can see the little Bad Moon template flying over directly across the battlefield. I took a photo of it because I thought it was appropriate, because you should fear the Bad Moon. And if you don't fear the Bad Moon, you should fear it. Oh yes, you should fear it. So with that, we go directly to the combat phase, and oh my god, the combat phase. In the end, I was able to kill, what was it, 7? Yeah, I managed to kill 7 Night Goblins from the Ludas, so that part was kind of cool. However, the Ludas were able to kill 3 of my marked men, my Black Legion. They were able to do it from poison attacks, is what they were able to do. The number of poison attacks was coming into me. I just couldn't armor save all of them, so that part was absolutely insane. At the same time, I do manage to kill 5 members of the Immortals, which is really cool. However, they do manage to kill 5 of my guys back, so because of that, I lose a grand total of 8 different people. Now, of course, I do win combat in terms of casualties, but I'm charged with flank, so I'm disrupted, so I get no rank bonuses. He's also got a standard bear in the Ludas, as well as a battle standard bear, so he gets +2 for his combat res on that. Plus, he has more ranks than I do with his Immortals. I forgot how much I lost this by. I lost it by quite a bit, and I had to take a break test. And unfortunately, I failed that break test, and I run, and Brother Grimm decides to pursue. The only problem, though, is that he just sends us in the goblins after me, is what he decides to do. He doesn't even send the Black Orcs. He just leaves his Black Orcs alone, and he decides to send the Night Goblins to finish me off, which just adds insult to injury, because now my super elite Chosen of Khorne are basically being, just hunted down and killed like dogs by a bunch of Night Goblins. And yes, the Night Goblins do finish off my Chosen. They do kill them all. They go some astronomically long distance to chase me down. It was absolutely insane. And yes, the Night Goblins did violate the corpses on my bodies. So that also happened as well. And there you have it, people. This brings us directly to the end of the games, with the Orcs and Goblins stealing the win on this one, and another victory for my buddy Brother Grimm. And as you can see in this picture, he absolutely tabled me and killed every single one of my guys. And to make matters worse, here's the part that really was painful. Karanak did not come up on the table at all during the entire battle, which is all kinds of bad. So because of that, my opponent gets to kill him as well, which is all kinds of just sad. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's the end of the game. With that being said, we're going to after action report, because this battle is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
I thought about staying. They offered me the chance to lead them, to teach them, to be king.
Uh-huh.
But my place is here, so I swallowed the juice, said the words, and here I am.
Did you say the words right this time?
Well, maybe I didn't say every single tiny little syllable, no, but basically I said them, yeah. Basically.
Alright folks, now it's time for the after action report. This is part of the battle report. We talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the after action report for the Golden Age, battle report number 88, and this one ended up being a defeat for Commander Cheapskate. I lost bad. In the end, I was able to score 2,091 victory points, while my buddy Brother Grimm was able to do 3,592. For my losses, I lost the Ragonites, Svarthal the Juggernaut, Karanak, Arbal the Destroyer, Flayers of the 8 Points, the Fangs of Nier, the Flesh Terrors, the Marked Men, the Signs of the Destroyer, and the Black Legion. Pretty much I lost my entire army. I got tabled hardcore on this one. In the end, Brother Grimm lost Grimgor Ironhide, the Incarnate of Beasts, Ruga, the Stunty Flayer, the Backstabbers, those Sneaky Gits, the War Boys, and Undead Fred and the Loon. Needless to say, this battle was absolutely insane. There were so many ups and downs and turnarounds in this battle, it was difficult to tell who was actually winning for most of it, because whenever one guy got the upper hand, something insane happened and it went back the other person's favor. Black Orc Immortals and Grimgor Ironhide are the stuff of nightmares. They're extremely deadly, and they pretty much massacred my Marauders and sent them directly into the warp in that one round of combat. Very, very deadly. And like I said, it was a genius use of movement by my buddy Brother Grimm in this battle. I originally thought I was going to be able to cause a bit traffic jam, because I thought he stacked up his units kind of weird, but in the end it actually kind of worked out for him. He was moving his forces like a boss and just ended up protecting his flanks, as well as allowing his forces to fight. It was all kinds of good for his point. He was really good on that one. He managed to protect his flanks with his fanatics, as able to commit his orcs into close combat as well, like I said, just an absolute genius move by my buddy Brother Grimm. And like I said, Doomdiver catapults are still extremely dangerous. Those things haunt my dreams when I sleep at night thinking about orcs and goblins. I don't care what anybody says, those things are absolutely scary. And the Curse of the Bad Moon, don't get me started on the Curse of the Bad Moon. That pretty much clutched the victory for my buddy Brother Grimm in this one, in my opinion, because it killed my Demon Prince. It also destroyed my Flares of the Ink points, which means I was not able to fully envelop his Black Orcs. So because of that, it left his Black Orcs fully alive, and for them to bring all the pain like they were able to. However, there were some positives on this one. It was pretty funny to see Undead Friend the Loon getting butchered by the Pragged Prince. I thought that part was really cool as well. I'm also very happy with mounting Svarfalov the Juggernaut upon a War Shrine. It really helped that character out, as well as myself in this battle report. Magic was also very helpful as well. Getting Giver of Glory really helped out a lot of my characters and allowed me to just slaughter his war boys for the most part as well. Plus, not to mention, Arball the Destroyer, my exalted hero, achieving demonhood was also really cool as well. It was like the icing on the cake on that part as well. And Marauders, Chaos Marauders are definitely not Chaos Warriors, and that is for sure. So I decided to do the experiment. It was an interesting experiment, but I think I'm going back to making them the Chaos Warriors again, because that was absolutely terrible. Needless to say, though, this was an absolute blast of a game to play against. My buddy Brother Grimm has really grown as a general. He's a really good opponent, and as always, I am looking forward to fighting against him on the battlefield. That's good for those of you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to our channel. That's good for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.